The answer has been within you all along. You've had the blue power within you since the start. And now, it's time for you to awaken it. There is a power inside you that has been there since your first breath. And it didn't activate earlier because it wasn't supposed to. It was meant for the perfect moment, and that moment is now. In just a few days, the supermoon hits. Not just any moon, it's the one that amplifies whatever is awakening inside you. And if you don't become aware of it now, you'll feel the opportunity slip right past you. This moment isn't for everyone, and deep down, you know you're not everyone. But before you can activate this power, you need to understand what it actually is. And that part, almost no one has been told the truth about. The blue power isn't some dramatic fantasy force or mystical trick. Think of it as a spiritual seal placed in you by a higher source. It isn't loud, it doesn't show off, it doesn't activate just because someone wants to feel powerful. It activates when a soul reaches a point where it can be trusted with itself. You felt it before, even if you didn't recognize it. Those moments in childhood when your instincts felt sharper than logic, when you sensed truths adults couldn't explain, when you carried a strange inner wisdom that never made sense for your age. That was it, quietly humming beneath the surface. This blue power unlocks spiritual abilities you forgot you even had. Your intuition sharpens. You start sensing truth instantly, without needing proof. It makes you sense shifts before they happen. Know when to stay still, when to speak, when to move. Manifestation becomes natural, not forced, because your energy finally aligns with your intention. It's been within you all along. You just grew into a world that trained you to doubt it. If you want to tap into this shift, feel free to drop 222 in the comments below, along with your thoughts, in order to align yourself with this energy. And now, the timing is aligning. This supermoon isn't coming to bless random people, it's coming to awaken the ones who are already chosen by inner purpose, not by external appearance. And there's a reason why you must be awake before it comes. If you wait for the supermoon to wake you up, it won't. Right now, the blue power inside you is shifting. Not fully active, but not dormant either. It's watching how you move. It's tracking how you show up. And this upcoming supermoon, it doesn't activate the power for you. It amplifies whatever state you're already in. If you're still hesitating, doubting, shrinking, the energy skips right over you. This isn't personal, it's frequency. The moon responds to those who are already becoming the version of themselves they were born to be. So how do you awaken it? Manifest what you truly want. Not what sounds good, not what's trending. Be honest, be specific. Speak it out loud, mean it. The blue seal only opens when your words match your soul. Also, be yourself in public, not just in private. Say the thing you've been scared to say. Show up how you were meant to, not how people expect you to. The more you try to blend in, the more the power stays buried. And lastly, do something good without telling anyone. Help, serve, give, but do it quietly. The blue power reacts to unseen alignment, not performative action. You don't need to be perfect, you just need to be real, and you need to do it before the supermoon hits, because once the moon reaches full intensity, it will amplify whatever state you're already in. This isn't about trying to be perfect, it's about being real, right now, before the moon arrives. Before the blue power unlocks, it doesn't whisper. It presses. It pushes against your life in ways you can't ignore. Not in the cliché spiritual ways, but in those subtle, persistent, personal ways that make you feel like life is rearranging itself around you. You may keep seeing repeating numbers, not for luck, not for manifesting, but as alignment markers, almost like the universe tapping your shoulder saying, "You're getting close." Don't doubt this, This isn't random synchronicity. This is your inner seal syncing with moments that most people walk past without noticing. And if the last few weeks have felt heavy, confusing, or intense, that isn't a downfall, it's a threshold, a spiritual compression phase. When the blue power rises, your life may feel like it tightened around you. Responsibilities, emotions, relationships, everything compressing at once. Not to crush you, but to sharpen you. Pressure isn't punishment, it's proof you're being prepared. Some people feel like they're being pulled inward more than usual. Less tolerance for fake conversations. Less energy for distractions. A strange calm in moments where old versions of you would panic. That's not burnout. It's power settling into your system, clearing space for what you're about to carry. And yes, sometimes it shows up as struggle. Real struggle. When you're about to rise, life often feels like it's trying to push you back. But if you've been going through a hard time, feeling like you're being stretched, tested, or stripped down, that is one of the loudest signs. Because every strong awakening looks like a breakdown right before it becomes a breakthrough. This hard season isn't failure. It's your comeback being built from the inside out. You were always different, and someone made sure you forgot that. There were moments in your childhood where you felt something nobody around you could explain. Maybe you asked questions too big for your age. Maybe you sensed emotions in rooms without anyone saying a word. Maybe you noticed things moving toward you, not by sight, but by instinct. And back then, it felt normal, like breathing. Children don't question intuition, they live inside it. But somewhere along the way, life taught you to mute that instinct. Not because it wasn't real, but because the world you were born into wasn't built to handle people who remember who they are. Society thrives when everyone fits in, moves in a straight line, and chooses logic over inner knowing. You weren't asked to forget your power. You were trained to, and you adapted not because you were weak, but because survival disguised itself as acceptance. There's a reason the blue power stayed quiet through those years. You weren't ready to carry it yet, not because you lacked ability, but because the world you were in wouldn't have understood it. When the blue power rises, it doesn't give you new abilities, it reveals the ones that were always sleeping underneath expectation, pressure, and identity masks. Awakening isn't about adding something, it's about reclaiming what was buried. Think back. The imagination that felt more like vision, the dreams that felt like messages, the inner voice you trusted before the world taught you to doubt it. None of it was pretend. There's a misconception about awakening. Many think power arrives to make them shine, to be seen, to stand above others. But the blue power doesn't reward ego. It dissolves it. This isn't the kind of energy that inflates self-importance. It sharpens responsibility. It's not here to make you feel chosen. It's here to remind you why you were chosen. Power without guidance becomes pride. But this power isn't loud, and it never begs for validation. It comes quietly, and when it does, everything inside you shifts from, "What can I gain?" to, "What was I entrusted with?" This isn't meant to put you on a pedestal. It's meant to put you on assignment. The blue power isn't flashy. It doesn't need attention. It doesn't look like spiritual aesthetics or surface-level awakening. It looks like clarity, conviction, grounded inner strength. It looks like doing what feels right, even when nobody is watching. It looks like outgrowing approval-seeking and stepping into spiritual responsibility. Real power isn't proven, it's demonstrated. When this power activates, you stop chasing recognition and start sensing purpose. You stop worrying about being seen and start preparing to serve, build, reveal, and lead, not loudly, but effectively. Think of it like this. Ego wants applause, mission wants alignment. Ego wants followers, mission wants impact. Ego seeks attention, mission seeks truth. This is why only a handful access this power. Not because it's scarce, but because most people want recognition more than responsibility. You're here because deep down, you always sensed there was more for you. Not for your image, but for your purpose. Because once this mission energy fully awakens, there's something very specific that begins to happen, and you'll know exactly why you were chosen when it does. Every wound you carry has weight, but not the kind people think. Your past isn't filled with scars as reminders of what hurt you. It's filled with proof of what shaped you. The moments that broke you didn't just end chapters. They forged identity. You didn't crawl out of those seasons weaker. You crawled out with a level of emotional and spiritual intelligence you couldn't have learned in peace. Growth rarely happens in comfort. It happens in collision. Tears are not signs of defeat. They are evidence you kept going when quitting made more sense. This blue power doesn't awaken in people who float through life untouched. It awakens in those who know what darkness feels like and chose not to become it. You have met disappointment, heartbreak, and loss, not to destroy you, but to soften the parts of you that needed compassion and harden the parts that needed discipline. You're not just someone who survived. You're someone who understands. And that matters, because real authority never comes from theory. It comes from experience. Think of the moments you felt abandoned, the nights where you questioned yourself, the people you poured into who couldn't show up for you when you needed them the most. Those weren't failures, they were filters. They filtered out weakness, ego, naivety, and blind trust. They sculpted resilience. They created space for discernment, wisdom, and emotional intelligence, qualities that power needs. And look at the effect those experiences had. You don't just sympathize with pain, you understand it. You recognize silent struggle in others. You feel energy before words appear. That's not intuition. That's earned sight. You earned that through endurance, not comfort. Your pain didn't just teach you, it authorized you. When this blue power activates fully, it doesn't empower you despite your wounds. It empowers you because of them. Your battles gave you credibility in realms where others only have theory. Your collapses gave you compassion that ego can't fake. Your losses carved space for humility, which is the true foundation of spiritual strength. You aren't rising because life got easier. You're rising because you became the kind of person who can carry purpose without collapsing under the weight of it. Everything you went through was a classroom. Every scar was a lesson. Every setback was a sharpening. Now you're entering the phase where life stops testing and starts trusting you. And when that happens, the power you've been earning quietly all these years starts moving through you publicly. And once that shift begins, you won't chase meaning anymore. You'll create it. Because the next stage of this journey isn't about surviving the storm. It's about learning what you were meant to do with the strength you built inside it. People romanticize awakening like it's soft light and calm energy. They never talk about the part where life turns against you right when you're rising. The chosen don't get attacked because they're weak. They get attacked because something inside them is waking up that threatens everything false around them. When a person carries real spiritual authority, resistance arrives before recognition. That's not a punishment. That's confirmation. Think about what you've lived through. The betrayals that came out of nowhere. The friendships that crumbled when you needed support the most. The phases of isolation you didn't choose, but had no way out of. Those weren't random hardships. They were pressure environments designed to show you who you are without anyone else defining you. There's a reason life confronted you early and hard. You weren't being punished. You were being trained. Light doesn't get attacked because it exists. It gets attacked because it threatens the dark. You were forced into seasons where you had to see people for who they truly were. Not because you're meant to live paranoid or guarded, but because spiritual maturity requires discernment, not naivety. You had to learn the difference between those who clapped for you and those who clapped when you failed. That clarity wasn't cruelty, it was preparation. A person with spiritual power who cannot see intentions clearly becomes a target. A person with spiritual power who does see clearly becomes a weapon. And let's be real, some of your hardest battles weren't against other people. They were against yourself. Doubt, confusion, feeling like you were losing your grip on direction. That internal warfare wasn't chaos, it was alignment. It was your old identity refusing to release control while your real identity rose underneath it. That internal tug of war wasn't weakness, it was evolution. When you're chosen, you don't just fight external battles. You fight internal ones that rewrite who you are. And every time you survived, you didn't just get stronger. You sharpened judgment, strengthened patience, and built spiritual muscle most people never develop. This is why you were isolated at times. Realignment requires separation before elevation. You were removed from environments that would have watered the wrong version of you. You were attacked because you can't be ordinary, even when you try. You were stretched because comfort would have suffocated your gift. You faced spiritual resistance because passive souls don't get tested. Only powerful ones do. And now that this power is awakening, you're going to notice something. Life isn't pushing you anymore. It's waiting for you. The moment your power awakens, the universe checks to see if it's real. Activation isn't fireworks and instant rewards. The universe does not hand spiritual authority to someone who hasn't proven they can hold it. When this blue power rises in you, the very next thing that happens isn't celebration. It's verification. Not because you're being punished, but because purpose must be grounded in character, not hype. And this is where most people misunderstand spiritual growth. They think awakening means everything suddenly gets bright and easy. But the truth is, the first thing that happens when power unlocks is you are placed in a moment where who you used to be and who you are becoming collide. That tension isn't failure, it's the exam. The question becomes, are you reacting from ego or responding from your new awareness? You might be presented with a situation where you could prove yourself, defend yourself, or demand recognition. Yet the real test is whether you stay anchored, composed, and clear. There might be a moment where doing the right thing won't earn applause, where there is no audience, no validation, no proof that anyone saw your integrity. And that's the point. The test is whether you'll honor your truth privately without the reward of being praised for it. Sometimes, the universe will give you the chance to do a quiet good, to help, uplift, or act with dignity even though no one will ever know. Will you? Or will you only act aligned when someone is watching? Because blue power doesn't activate under spotlight moments. It activates in invisible choices. True strength is revealed when you choose integrity without witnesses. You may also face emotional tests, someone rude, someone trying to drag you into drama, a trigger from your past resurfacing unexpectedly. This isn't life trying to break you. It's life asking, are you still reacting from your old identity, or are you operating from the energy you claim to carry now? This power does not attach to ego. If you slip into needing to be right, needing to be seen, or needing to dominate, the seal doesn't punish you. It simply pauses, because it does not fuse to a vessel that hasn't yet stabilized. But when you pass the test, when you hold your composure, choose clarity instead of impulse, purpose instead of pride, the energy doesn't just activate, it locks in. And if you maintain that posture from now until the supermoon, something rare happens. This power won't just flicker in you, it will root in you, it will move through you without effort. You will not feel like you're forcing control. You will feel like you've stepped into a natural state that was always yours. There is one more thing though, and it's the part most people never accept until it hits them. The reason you've been pushed so hard lately is not that you're breaking, it's that you're right on the edge of crossing into who you were always meant to be. Sometimes, the heaviest battles come right before the biggest breakthroughs. And if the last weeks or months have felt like life has been tightening around you, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, it's not because you are failing. It's because you're being prepared. You don't get handed power like this after comfort. You earn it in seasons where everything feels strained, stretched, uncertain, and quiet. Think about it. You've been removing people from your life, breaking old habits, walking away from patterns that once felt comfortable, and facing discomfort head-on. You've endured moments where it felt like the universe was silent. You've sat with emotions most people run from. You've outgrown a version of yourself without yet stepping into the next. These are not signs of collapse. They are signs of transition. Before elevation comes separation. When you're getting ready to access a power that changes your direction, your life will first remove attachments that can't go with you. And that process hurts. Not because you're being punished, but because you're being cleared. You've been feeling the emptiness, not because you're lost, but because space was being created inside you. That's where this power will settle. The reason you feel tired, the old identity was dissolving. The reason you felt unmotivated at moments, your soul was rejecting distractions that are too small for your next chapter. The reason relationships shifted, the universe only keeps people around who match your future, not your history. You're not falling apart, you're being focused. And this supermoon energy is the moment where all the internal restructuring you've been experiencing finds its purpose. If you've done the work, even quietly, without acknowledgement, if you've stayed genuine, stayed kind, even when you were hurting, stayed honest, even when it would have been easier to numb out or fake it, then this activation is not a possibility. It's a certainty. Power doesn't awaken when life is easy. It awakens when you refuse to quit. You didn't lose everything. You outgrew everything. You didn't get abandoned. You got redirected. You didn't break. You reshaped. And the fact that you are still here, still moving, still sensing something bigger calling you forward, that alone is evidence that you're on the edge of entering a level of spiritual presence most people never reach. You're becoming a presence. This phase isn't about suddenly gaining flashy mystical abilities or feeling like you're floating above reality. It's far stranger and far more grounded than that. When the blue power opens, you don't just change internally. Reality changes in response to you. You stop being simply a physical human moving through environments, and instead, you begin to shift environments just by existing inside them. This isn't confidence. This isn't ego. This is energetic authority. You won't need to announce anything. You won't need to posture or prove yourself. The moment you walk into a place, people notice something, not consciously, but instinctively. They won't be able to explain it. Some might feel drawn, comforted, curious. Others might suddenly feel unsettled, intimidated, or defensive without knowing why. Animals will sense you first. They always do. You might notice cats staring at you longer, dogs becoming unusually calm or unusually alert. Children may look at you like they know you. Energy-sensitive people will have trouble making eye contact because your presence feels like it exposes what they're not ready to face in themselves. True spiritual power doesn't speak loudly. It alters the atmosphere silently. This is where you start realizing why your path required so much solitude, silence, and inner refinement. You weren't being isolated. You were being prepared to carry a frequency that cannot be diluted by the noise of the world. When this power activates, you're not here to blend into crowds. You're here to be the reason crowds shift, settle, rethink, or wake up. And around this supermoon, this effect intensifies. The moonlight doesn't just illuminate you, it reveals you. People you haven't spoken to in years might suddenly think about you. Someone who once underestimated you may feel your energy like a quiet alarm. Even strangers might stare at you a second longer than usual, not because of how you look, but because something in your presence feels unfamiliar, magnetic, or ancient. Some people will pull closer, others will quietly distance themselves. Don't chase either. Don't question who stays and who leaves. When you become a frequency instead of just a personality, your life naturally reorganizes itself around vibration instead of history. And this is just the beginning. Because once you stop being a person trying to find purpose and start being a carrier of purpose, you realize something important. You were never meant to hold this energy like a trophy. You were meant to channel it. You're not the weapon. You're the messenger it rides in on. This is the most misunderstood part of spiritual empowerment. When people first feel power rising within them, their instinct is often to direct it, control it, bend it toward goals, manifestations, and desires. But the blue power doesn't work like that because it's not ordinary energy. It's not a tool. It's not an instrument. It is assignment. The moment you try to wield this power for ego, it slips through your fingers. Not out of punishment, but because it will never be controlled by personal ambition. This power wasn't given to make you impressive. It was entrusted to make you effective. It's here to move through you, not for you. It doesn't awaken because you demand it. It awakens because you aligned with what you were born to carry. Ego tries to command power. Purpose allows power to command you. When you start trusting where this energy nudges you, instead of trying to force it toward your own plans, that's when it becomes unstoppable. You'll feel intuitive impulses that don't always make logical sense at first, like suddenly knowing when to act, when to remain silent, when to step forward, and when to step back. You won't need to chase opportunities. They will start recognizing you. Your desires won't disappear, they will purify. You'll stop asking, "What do I want?" and begin asking, "What am I being called to move toward?" And when this power uses you rather than you trying to use it, you'll notice something profound. You stop feeling like you're walking alone. You stop feeling like you're guessing your way through life, like every step is being guided by something precise, ancient, and wise. The strongest souls are not the ones who lead the universe. They are the ones who follow it. If you're still watching, I'd like to thank you for your attention. If you enjoyed the content and want to see more, please consider clicking the subscribe button. Your support is very appreciated. Feel free to share your experiences or thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, take care and subscribe for more insightful content.